everyone, it's me again. I am back to do our second demo. I just want to say thank you to everybody that liked, followed, subscribed, and shared my first post. I was really nervous to do it. I wasn't sure what kind of feedback I was going to get, and I was very overwhelmed by all of the positive, encouraging words from everybody. So I just want to say thank you. That made me very excited to come back and do a second recipe with you guys. So this week we are going to be doing a spaghetti squash bake, and this is my own recipe. So if you want to just grab a quick pen, I'm going to read off the ingredients to you guys. So your main ingredient in this is going to be spaghetti squash. And for, once again, quick and easy, what people are looking for, there are two ways that you can pre-cook your squash. Mine's already cooked. One, if I were working, I would cook it actually the night before when your favorite show's on, maybe around 8 o'clock at night. Pop your squash in the oven, scoop it out, and then it's ready the next day when you're ready to assemble your bake. Or additionally, you can also do it in a crock pot, and that's very simple. So I'll tell you how to do it both ways. So if you were doing it in the oven, depending on the size of the squash, usually it takes about an hour. This was a medium-sized squash, and yeah, it took about an hour. What you do is you're just going to split it in half, scoop out the seeds in the inside, and cook it upside down. Sometimes I cover it with a piece of foil. Sometimes I don't. It just depends. Put it in a Pyrex. You don't need any oil, any water. You're just baking it. Again, that cooks for about an hour. Once it's out, you're just going to scoop it out and put it in the fridge. If you're doing it in the crock pot, that's also very, very, very simple. It takes 8 hours on low. Again, you're going to cut it in half. Scoop out the seeds and all the gook inside, and you're going to put maybe about an inch of water in the bottom of your crock pot, and just cook it on low. So then when you get home from work, all you have to do is scoop out the insides and assemble. So yeah, so that's already what I did. So I have my squash cooked, and actually I cooked this yesterday, so this is ready to go. So if you wanted to do it the day before, awesome, or you can just pop it in the crock pot. That way it's ready to go when you get home. Okay, so I'm going to read off the list of ingredients that you need, so if you just want to jot them down. I know I didn't do that last time, so taking some feedback from others here. Okay, so 1 spaghetti squash. This spaghetti squash got me about 4 cups of scooped squash. 1 onion that's been diced. 2 cups of frozen Brussels sprouts. The reason why I use frozen is because I like the size of them. They're a lot smaller than the ones that you can find in the store. The one in the store are a lot larger, so you'd have to cut them a couple times, which you can totally use, and I have used them before, but for this particular one, I bought the frozen ones just because they are a lot smaller than the ones that you can buy fresh. 1 cup of grated tomatoes, which have been cut in half. I also add in 1 jar of sun-dried tomato that is packed in oil, so that's ready to go. The brand doesn't matter, the brand, but I bought the Unico one. Not the whole ones. If you can find the ones that are already julienne cut, awesome, because that's a time saver. If you buy the ones that are whole, then you're going to have to slice them, so you can get the little pieces of sun-dried tomato in there. 1 cup of diced zucchini, which is usually about 1 medium-sized zucchini. 1 carton of sliced mushrooms, which I've got ready to go. And 1/2 cup of sun-dried tomato pesto, which is pretty well, oh, that's not it, which is pretty well your main ingredient in this dish. Okay, so you can make your own, and a girlfriend of mine has made it before. I just haven't gotten that far to making it myself, but once again, time saver, buy it yourself, jarred and ready to go. I have about 1.5 cups of fresh spinach, and some nutritional yeast, which we will add in once everything is cooked. Nutritional yeast, you can usually buy at any bulk food, whole food store. I have not been able to find it at Sobeys or Zehrs. I found this one in particular at the bulk food in Amherstburg, but I know the bulk farm carries it as well, which will give you that cheesy flavor and is loaded with B12. Some breadcrumbs for topping. Just depends how much your casserole dish is. This is about a half a cup of breadcrumbs. And 1 can of rinsed and washed chickpeas. Once again, you can use the ones that are not cooked and cook them yourself, but time saver, just buy the cans, and this is going to add our protein into our bake. And also the non-dairy cheese. I have about 2 cups of the Dia mozzarella non-dairy cheese in here. Okay, so I think that is all our ingredients. So I'm going to tell you how to assemble this. The good thing with this is that you're not spending an hour over the stove waiting for it to cook, because you're going to assemble it and pop it in the oven. When it's all assembled, you're going to cook it at about 400 for a half hour, 45 minutes. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing you're going to start with is your sun-dried tomatoes. I do not drain them from the oil. I use the oil from the sun-dried tomatoes to saute all the other vegetables in. Instead of draining them and adding olive oil, this it's already flavored with the sun-dried tomato. Okay, so you're just going to help getting those out. Actually, let me grab a fork. Okay, so you're just gonna get those into your pan. Now, I'm using a pan that can go from stovetop to oven. It's my Copper Chef that I'm obsessed with. But you essentially do not need one that can go from stovetop to oven. You can just transfer your contents into a baking dish or Pyrex and bake it that way. But you'll notice that I'm skipping that step because mine goes from stovetop to oven. So you're just going to turn your heat on about medium high. And so the sun-dried tomatoes are in there, packed in with the oil, and I'm going to add in my onions. Basically all of your veggies except for the spinach are going to go in at this point. So the onions are going in, the zucchini are going in, and because you're cooking, you're going to be baking this after, you don't need to make sure that everything is sauteed and cooked, because it's going to do that in the oven. So you've got your zucchini in there, you've got your onions, you've got your sun-dried tomatoes. I'm going to add in my mushrooms. Okay, so that was just 1 carton. You can slice them again if you like. These ones I didn't get a chance to slice them again. So we're just going to add those mushrooms in. The grape tomatoes. And the Brussels sprouts. Okay. This dish would feed about 4 people. Okay, so you got your Brussels sprouts in there, and you're just going to mix it all around. Okay, and I have an all-purpose seasoning that I love to use. It's called the Garlic Plus, and Clubhouse makes it. You can get it at any grocery store. The container looks like this, and I just use that to season instead of salt and pepper in this dish, just because you get the salt from the sun-dried tomatoes and from the sun-dried tomato pesto. Okay, so at this point you can preheat your oven to 400. Okay, and you're just going to saute everything all together. So while that's sauteing, I'm going to tell you a little bit else, something else you can do with this dish. So if there's a vegetable that you don't like that's in this dish, that's why I love this dish, because it's so versatile and you can essentially put anything in it. So I have made it before where I chopped up asparagus. I made it for someone that didn't like tomatoes. So I took out the tomatoes and I subbed in some diced asparagus. If you have someone that doesn't like mushrooms, take the mushrooms. It's not going to alter the taste of the dish. So you can take the mushrooms out and maybe add really small pieces of cauliflower or broccoli. So you can really use any vegetable. If there's another vegetable that you absolutely love that I haven't used, throw it in there. I'm sure it'll taste awesome. Okay, so we have that just sauteing. We're going to cook this for about 3 minutes, not long. I know I've gotten some feedback asking for another camera angle that's closer to the oven, which I'm currently working on right now. So you're just gonna have to bear with me. So this should look something like this right now, if you guys can see. All right, it's just all your veggies mixed in there, okay? So once that is good and mixed and sauteed for a couple minutes, you can throw your chickpeas in at this point. And just mix it up. Along with your sun-dried tomato pesto. I don't have a preference in brand when it comes to the sun-dried tomato pesto. I just use really whatever's on sale and whatever I can find. So you're going to add that in. Okay, so my camera shut off, so this is part 2. So all I was saying is some different things that you can make with the spaghetti squash is pasta. I've used it in soups. There's a ton of things that you can do with it. Sorry for that break up there. I'm not sure why my camera had cut out. Anyway, so what you're going to do at this point is just toss in your squash like this. And as you can see, it's really going to start coming together now. And you're just going to mix it up and kind of blend it all. You can see that it's going to really start growing, so you want kind of a big pot when you're making this. Okay. So once again, this is kind of what I've got going on here right now. Okay. So once your squash is in there, you can toss in your spinach. And I'm just going to kind of mix it in. All right. Along with your non-dairy cheese. I'm just going to kind of mix it in. At this point, you can shut your stove off because you're going to get into the baking process. And all you're going to do at this point now is sprinkle some nutritional yeast on top. I don't measure it. I just sprinkle that. If I had to measure it, I would say that was about 2 tablespoons for those of you that like measurements. And take your breadcrumbs and I sprinkle them on top. And that's it. It's ready to go in the oven. So that's all you're going to do is cover it with foil paper and pop it into the oven and cook it at 400 for about 40 minutes. If you like, for the last 10 minutes, what about when it hits about a half hour, uncover it and the top will get nice and crispy for you guys. So hope you guys liked that. As you can see, that took about 10 minutes to put together if you have everything prepped and ready to go. All right, I hope to see you guys again next week, and I hope you enjoy the recipe as much as we do. Thanks.